Welcome to What Builders Don't Tell Their Clients with your host, Joel Miner. Listening to the show, you'll learn how to avoid the unnecessary pain and avoidable costs that commonly occur in the building and renovating process. Joel will also inspire you with his knowledge, experience, and ideas on how to make your home a place to suit your lifestyle for years to come.
Welcome back. Step 6 we're up to. Like I said, for the last few weeks, me and Andrew Quadrio from Quadrio Building Services have been running through the 6 steps of planning. So we've covered multiple ideas. So inspiration ideas is what we touched on last week. We've covered timeline, budget, the brainstorming / the must-have needs and wants, and finding the purpose to your particular situation when it comes to renovating. So this is a very final step when it comes to the 6 steps of planning. So you know, whether you're going through a renovation or a new build, I think these are a very key factor to consider and really look at why you're doing it and what things that are important to you. And also, there's probably a lot of things in there you may not have thought about of what you're after. So if you haven't watched any of the previous videos, jump back. I'll post a link in the comment section below. And you just click back on each week and you can have a look through, but really advise looking from step 1 and making your way through to the very last video, because we've set these steps out to make sure that the very first step is the most important and the next step will follow through, because quite often with these steps, a lot of the next one refers back to the first one. So if you don't have the first one right, then it's quite hard to move on to the next one. So the last step we're really going to be covering here is this, once you've covered your step 1 to step 5, coming into the detail of finding a builder and a designer that's suiting your needs. So, once you've got all your ideas together and working out sort of what dollar figure you're wanting to spend, now's the time to try and find out who your builder's going to be, what builder you're after, what designer you're looking at doing, and what way is good to go. So whether it be you want to look, a lot of people are not sure what to do once they've got all these things together. So finding a builder and finding a designer, which one do they go to first? So I don't know about you, Andrew, but what sort of thing do you say to people when they're looking for a builder or designer? What's sort of the best suggestion you would recommend to people?
We recommend that you engage the builder first. The builder is going to be with you the longest, and you're going to see them the most often. If you're doing a renovation or an extension on your home, you're going to see them almost every day. You're usually going to talk to them every day. You're going to get very close to them in terms of communication. So your designer is, you'll speak to them, in the initial sort of planning stages and that sort of stuff. And then once the builder starts, they don't usually have a great deal to do with it. Some projects they do, but then you usually pay a great deal more for that. And if you do these 5 steps prior to this one really well, and your builder understands them really well as well, then having a designer involved throughout the project is not sort of that important. Involving a builder the first is very, very important, and you need to find a builder that understands your purpose, understands your needs, wants, and dreams list, as well as your budget. Knows the timeline, has the same sort of timeline that you were sort of thinking of, or has set out the timeline for you, and you can understand it. You both sort of agree on it. You both go, yep, I can see how that's going to work. This is going to take this long. It's going to take this long. And it's very important that you're on the same page. It is a team effort. Renovating and building a house, it is not a transactional exchange between 2 parties solely. Anyway, it is technically, but it's not solely. It's a team effort to get it done, and the team needs to all be on the same page. So that's why these 5 steps prior to this one are very, very important. And then step 6 is just as important as the rest of them, because you need to find someone that's going to realize your vision with you and understand these 5 things beforehand that you've set out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, from your experience, and if I was a client coming to you and saying, hey, just after a couple of quotes, I'm going to get 3 quotes and I'm probably going to pick the cheapest one, Now, what would your reaction be to that for someone, or what would you suggest why they should or shouldn't do that?
First question is I'd ask them why they want the cheapest quote. And cheapest quotes are good if you're getting blinds or a TV or a car or something like that, because they're all the same, pretty much.
Yeah, that's more
Choosing a builder,
transactional.
and they're all transactional. They're short. Choosing a builder is huge in comparison. Like it's the biggest, aside from buying the house itself or buying the land, it is the biggest transaction you will ever make.
And I
And
guess
you're going to
it's
go to hope
emotional,
is
isn't it? It's an emotional investment.
yes, that's right. So you need the person needs to the builder needs to understand you emotionally as well. Needs to understand your fears and frustrations and wants and needs and aspirations for the property or for the house. And you can't put there is a price for it, but you can't put the cheapest price on that. You're heading for disaster if you go and do that, because the only way things get cheaper is if builders take shortcuts. All the materials cost the same, roughly for every builder. They're all about the same. Labor's about the same, unless you go and use cheap inferior labor. That's how you cut cost. There's three ways of cutting costs in a building project. You use cheap inferior labor. Right, that's a cost cutting. You use cheap inferior materials, which is going to be a disaster, because the thing's going to fall apart or rot or cause you more maintenance issues down the track. Or the builder shortens their margin. So the bad news about that is, if the builder shortens their margin on your job, they're going to prioritize another job over yours that they're making more margin on. And it happens, we see it all the time, where the builder starts the job, they go gun ho for 2 or 3 months or something like that, and get the job 90% complete, 80-90% complete, and that last 30% falls away because they've started another job where they're going to make more money, or they get a better cash flow through. They've got no cash flow left in your
Rob
job.
Peter to pay Paul.
No margin left in your job. Yeah, that's right. Because the majority of builders are not good businessmen. They're just dumb chippies. Like they don't educate themselves on how to build a business, not a job. It's all well and good for a builder to work for themselves, but do they actually own a business, or they actually own a job? And they need to, someone that needs to rob Peter. So what Joel was referring to by rob Peter to pay Paul is that they get one job 90% complete, and they're starting to run out of money because they're starting to run out of margin. So they start another job, and then a little bit of that money pays for the job that they just finished. But then the same thing, they get caught in this cycle where they get toward the 80% mark of the job, and the margin starts to go like this, and there's not a lot of cash flow left. So they start another one, and it kicks up a bit, and it goes back down and up and down and up and down and up and down, and they get caught in this cycle that goes on and on and on and on. So that's why builders pushing their margin down just to get work is a silly option.
Yeah,
for
and I guess
both the builder and the client, because it's just going to end up in disaster. You're just going to have headaches down the road.
And I guess what happens to warranty too down the track.
That's right. Yeah. Warranties, get void, or they run out before they finish warranty on products runs out before they finish the job, and that sort of stuff.
And I guess everyone's heard the story of the builder that's gone broke, or the builder's gone insolvent because they're trading out of their own region, and what's the word? But they can't afford to trade, basically. Because
that cycle they get in is ever decreasing, and eventually it gets to a point where they can't do any more, and you got to hope that you're not the person at the end of the line, at the end of that ever decreasing circle.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess, like, when people are going to find a builder, what sort of questions or what sort of things should they be looking for to be able to try and find what builder's best for them? Because obviously not every builder is, a lot of builders are quite universe in just, areas, but I guess people should be, from my experience, looking for someone that's more specific in the area that they're after.
Yeah, you really need to be looking for a specialist in your area, in your whatever your job is. So if you're doing a kitchen, you're doing a bathroom, you're doing an extension, you're doing a deck, you really want a specialist in that area. You wouldn't go, for example, just to put it into a story people could understand. You wouldn't go if you had something wrong with your toe on your foot. You wouldn't go and see a heart specialist, or you wouldn't go to an eye surgeon.
Yeah, they may be your big doctor.
You go to a podiatrist.
Yeah.
You go to a specialist that's a specialist in that field. Seek that person out. Go and see them first.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
need to do the same thing if you're doing a bathroom renovation. Find someone that's a bathroom renovation specialist, or an extension or renovation specialist, or a new build specialist. Doesn't matter. Custom home specialist. Doesn't matter which one. It doesn't matter which one it is. Find that person first. Doesn't mean that someone that is a renovation specialist doesn't do new builds or doesn't do bathrooms, but it means their area of expertise is renovation extension. So that's what they do most of the time. So they have developed systems and processes to make sure that is streamlined for both the client, you, and the builder themselves, so that everybody can have a fantastic experience throughout the whole project.
Yeah, and I guess that leads to a bit more cost effective because they've worked out systems, procedures.
Right.
They've worked out how these little things over the years, definitely can work, and they've got efficiencies and things that can, we've done this in the past, that didn't work. This is a better way to go. So, there's going to be a bit more cost saving or things that they can help you with that are more site specific to be able to allow you to get more for your money, get more value, and also, basically deliver on what you want as well. And like you said, like the doctor, there's plenty of doctors out there, and there's GPs and this type of doctor and that doctor, but like you got to see the heart surgeon, or the one, the eye surgeon, or there's specific areas for specific reason. And it's the same when it comes to the building industry, that
Exactly.
like you said, there's not, it doesn't mean they can't do it, but there's going to be a lot more benefits you're going to receive by finding someone in that specific area who does that specific thing.
Correct. Yeah.
So I think, we've touched on some really good points there. And, that's basically the end of our 6 steps of planning. So, if you haven't watched the first few videos, we've got another 5 steps there. So we're going to, we've released these each week. And we've broken into these. We try to keep them short, sharp, cut out all the bullshit, and just try and get straight to the point on basically working out how it's going to benefit you and what sort of things you can take from this to sort of start to use and, implement in your renovations. So if you have any questions or comments, jump onto, either one of our websites or Facebook page where most of this is going to get released. I'll chuck some of these up on Spotify as well, but Andrew, he's from Quadrio Building Services, so he'll have it up on his page. So any questions, comments, just feel free to grab in, anything that you might find helpful that you thought you'd like to know more about, just chuck it in the comments section, and we can dive more into this if need be. Me and Andrew are going to start doing a regular thing of just putting something little together every week and covering a topic that you guys might find quite helpful to be able to help you out. And I'd love to be able to get some feedback and, try and find out what you find helpful and what you'd like to know more about when it comes to planning and renovation, just to be able to really start to get some good ideas out there and give you guys some good information and really just start to help you out. So it's all about making you guys aware of these things and then avoiding some of the common mistakes that a lot of people make and don't think of. And then it leads to such a bad experience for a renovation or a new build, and just so much extra cost goes on. It kind of really starts to grind my gears about this whole thing, because it just happens. You talk to someone at a barbecue and at least one person that's built or renovate that you talk to at a barbecue, it's had happen. So, it's one of them things. And we're going to leave you guys with this last step. If like I said, any questions, post in the comment section. But I'm Joel from Refined Space Constructions, and Andrew from Quadrio Building Services. We'll see you next time.
That's it for this week's episode of What Builders Don't Tell Their Clients, brought to you by Refined Space Constructions. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.